So Jayanthi ji, the first question is the harmony that you had as a group, how you all played together. For a Rasika, it's like a mystery because you all were so much in sync. How do you plan this out and what is spontaneous? How does it work? Some of it is rehearsed. Do you talk about it? So walk us through the backstage of this magic that happened.
To be in a group and to be successful, the most important thing is we should be good listeners. And we should have mutual respect for each other. And to be able to read each other's minds, it would be great if we are great friends. You travel together, you've played together for several years, you know what the other person is thinking. It's almost like when our father starts talking about the usual story, in 1951, and the brother and sister look at each other and quietly slip away inside, right? Nothing is spoken. So it's like a family. Vidwan Jayachandra Raoji and Krishna Swamiji have performed hundreds of concerts and with us and with me and my husband Vidwan Shri Kumaresh ji. So we do, of course, plan a few things. But when there is so much of improvisation, you just look at each other, you know what is going to happen next. So to be able to understand the mind, one needs to first listen, respect, respond, and know each other as people.
I would never ask this to a vocalist, but you said every instrument has a life, and we have just come away from Ayudha Puja. So in India, everything has a life. Do you play with each other's instruments? Are you allowed to? Do they touch your veena? Are you curious about the ghatam and the mridangam because you're all instrumentalists? Or is it sacred and not touchable?
No, when we travel, mine is the heaviest. And I would be lost if they didn't help me around the world. They really helped me a lot in taking the veena from place to place because it comes in that huge case and they look after it like a baby, as I do. And playing the mridangam, Jayachandraji would be mad if I tried that. And Krishnaji never lets his instrument away from him. So I'm looking for an opportunity.
Okay, rapid fire. It's unfair to ask an artist favorite raga, even though it's a shortcut for a journalist like me. But let me ask you, what is the raga that preoccupies you these days? Or favorite raga, whichever way you think.
It depends on the mood of the day and who's been nice to me and who hasn't. So today it is Shanmukapriya.
Yeah. So you said he has a lot of ghatams. How many veenas do you have? And do you live outside your house or inside?
Luckily, my husband still has allowed me, in spite of around 12 veenas here, and in my guru's place, which some of my veenas are there with her, in all we have about 24. So including what is there in my guru's place, we do have a lot of veenas.
Do you have a favorite child among your veenas?
Yes.
Is it size? You said size, structure, shape?
The way it works is if it's my solo, I use a different instrument. If it's a jugalbandi, I use a different. When I travel, I use a different instrument. So it depends on what concert, or if it's a recording. If I'm playing for a recording where the pitch is higher, I use a different instrument and change the strings. So each of them, the way you treat them, the way I travel so much, and my veena is my companion. I speak to her. So before the concert, I tell her, don't go out of pitch, take care of me today. So I literally speak to her. So because the gods, the spirit inside that instrument responds to you.
Yes, I can see that, yeah. Which musicians do you admire, or which musician do you admire, dead or alive?
Many.
I know, maybe 3 for us.
Mainly my guru, Padmavati Ananthagopalanamma, my mother, Lalgudi Rajalakshmi, the great Lalgudi Jayaramanji. I grew up, this is my world. Dr. S. Balachandar sir, my own husband, Kumaresh ji, and of course my brother Ganesh ji, and most importantly, I admire my co-artists, Jayachandra Rao ji and Trichy Krishna Swami ji. So, every musician has something to teach us. Some teach us what to do, some teach us what not to do. So, it's a learning experience. Yes. And Saraswati manifests herself differently in each musician. The beauty is to see it, to see how creative she is. No two creativities are alike. Each musician is so different from the other. And look at the creativity of Goddess Saraswati.
Yeah. If not a Veena player, what might you have been? Okay, no answer forthcoming. And because this is Bangalore, I have to ask a food question. What is your favorite tindi or uta? What is your comfort food?
Sare jahan se acha. Saru, Anna Saru.
Oh, Anna Saru, okay. So now we go to the serious stuff. Is it different for them and for you to play amongst instrumentalists as opposed to, so for the percussion artists, how is it different to accompany vocal versus instrumental?
It is different. In vocal, you have the vocalist putting talam, and then there is this lyrical element. So they can respond to the lyrics. Am I right, Jayachandra ji? So, and for an instrumental concert, it is pretty much like the track when the train goes. They provide the complete rhythmic tracks for the music to move on. So the patterns are pretty much like Sarvalagu, as what we would call it, so that the music can weave in and weave out. And instrumental music is de-regional and de-religious, so that leaves a whole scope for the audience. When I played the Tanam, some imagined, going somewhere, some imagined going on a horse, some imagined a sunrise, I hope. Some imagined something else. Each of you must have had a different vision in your head when you listen to instrumental music. It is more existential. Vocal is more psychological because you provide the context. When I say Narayana, there you have the entire picture in front of you. But here, we are not giving you a context. It's a sonic experience. And you just have to imagine it the way you can. So for them, they are responding to the nada, to the sound. There they are responding to the lyrics, to the kriti, to the context.
So it's a very interesting, subtle point whether lyrics are an advantage or a disadvantage for the listener. And I guess there's no answer to that. There's no right answer to that. So you come from a family of violinists. Have you ever been tempted to shift instruments, allegiances?
I'm the non-violinist at home.
Yes. Non-violinist. Okay. Manodharma, Alapana remains a mystery for even very passionate rasikas like we have here. How do you do that? How do artists do that? Does it come to you? Is it practice? Is it half and half? Just unpack the Alapana section, the Ragam, the Tanam as well. How does it come to you?
Manodharma is like a box full of paint and a brush given to an artist. So many people come and say, I want to learn Manodharma. You can't actually teach Manodharma. What you can teach is tips to get creative. But the creativity has to be within you. You give a box of 5 colors to a person and ask them to paint. The painting of an artist, the painting of someone who's not an artist, who's just dabbling with colors, is very different. So what goes on? The word raga means color. So each raga is a raga devata, is a living being, where for me sometimes when I think of Kalyani, it comes, I get colors like blue or something like that. You get an imagery and you try, and it's not a bunch of phrases. When you take 10 phrases and put together, it doesn't become a raga alapana. It's just a clinical thing there. When does that science become an art is when the soul participates in it. So you have to listen to a lot of Kalyani. You have to listen to hundreds of kritis in Kalyani. Listen to lots of raga alapana. Make friends with it. Become familiar with what is the jiva swaram in that. And then slowly, when you internalize it, you can get the feel of that raga. Similarly, when you do swara kalpana, it has to come naturally, like flowers come to a plant or a tree. So you get, but the technique of how to do it within one particular meter, what are the prayogas that should come in a raga, what shouldn't come, you will learn. But to get the hang of it, it takes years and experience, of course.
So I could talk all night with Jayanthi ji, but we are on a time schedule, so this is my last question. So you have founded the Indian National Orchestra, and a lay Rasika's view is that Indian music is melodic and Western music is harmonic. Do you agree with that differentiation? And the second part of the question is, how do you think classical Indian music should evolve? Should it is one evolution to go from melodic to harmonic? How do you think it should evolve? Should it evolve?
The very fact that we have a tanpura which has sa, pa as harmonically in the background, I wouldn't say Indian music is only melodic. We have the harmony right there in our tanpura which is happening. Now, this music has changed and evolved since the Vedic times. We haven't consciously done anything. So, okay, let's get to the drawing board and make a plan to evolve this music, because the system is so sound scientifically and the structure is so well planned that if you take the history of Indian classical music, it is the history of India. The way it has evolved with time. The same veena, now we have digital veena, we have electronic veena, we have veena with a MIDI mix. I play the veena, I turn on something, it will sound like a sitar or a flute. So evolution is happening, but the truth, the essence, the core stays the same. So tradition is just addition. And presentation formats have changed. They used to have concerts for 5 hours. Now we have for an hour and a half. Presentation packages changed, but the intrinsic soul has remained same. It will evolve. I'm not sure if we should consciously do something. Let us keep practicing. Let us keep appreciating. Let us get our children to listen to this music. Let us make sure the next generation of rasikas are created. The next generation of artists are waiting in the wings. The youngsters are all ready, waiting. Are the audience ready?
I'm going to push you a little bit. See, I am a purist, so I'm perfectly fine. I think music can be in that traditional vacuum, beautiful space that we all want to go to when we are fed up with the world. So I'm perfectly okay with that. But social media has changed us all, and including artists. So do you think technology will influence the evolution of music?
Like many people say, technology is a two-sided knife. You can use it to benefit, to get more people interested in it. Like I tried to use it in my Kapo Carnatic series to familiarize people across the world about small concepts about Carnatic music and say, hey, this is not all technique and something that only very knowledgeable people should appreciate. This is something that you can. It is something that we've grown up with. So technology is not a bane, but you should know where to stop and how to use it.
So I want to end with a quote from Jayanthi ji. I first interviewed her in 2014, about 10 years ago, for Mint Lounge. And it was a cover story about vocal music's predominance in the Chennai music season. And I asked her, how do instrumentalists fare in today's Carnatic music scene? And her reply was, if you are talking about instrumentalists all over the entire universe, including every continent except Chennai, we are doing very well. Because if you ask people globally who are the best Indian musicians, the names that will come out are Ravi Shankar, Hari Prasad Chaurasya, Zakir Hussain. So we are fine as instrumentalists all over the world, except Chennai. So
that is changing.
that is changing, okay. So with that, I close this conversation. Like I think all of us could be here all night, but Jayanthi ji and the respected Vidwans have given such a stupendous concert. I think we should allow them to rest and have a good evening. Thank you all.
What a pleasure chatting with you. All right.